Good morning or afternoon, guys. Welcome to Glass Table Sports Podcast. This is a podcast where Drew and I, Lane, will be talking with you guys about any daily sports news and have some hot takes on what we feel for the NFL upcoming playoffs. Good morning, Drew. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing very well.
Good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. All right, so let's just jump right into things. Let's do a quick recap on some Week 17 stuff.
Let's get the show on the road here.
Absolutely. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get going. I want to talk about a topic that's near and dear to your heart.
To my heart.
Yeah, to your heart.
Let me guess. It's going to have to do with my Eagles.
Of course it is. You guys are the hot button topic this week. Obviously, we're referring to the benching of Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter after he was having an absolutely fantastic game.
I wouldn't say fantastic. I mean, he scored 2 touchdowns, but
he was having a serviceable game.
He didn't even have 100 yards going into the fourth quarter. I don't know. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
No, seriously. I want to get your opinion on it.
My opinion? Yeah. Okay. I don't have a problem with it. I think that it's hilarious that Giants fans are incredibly upset. But if they weren't 6-10, maybe they would be in the playoffs. Leaving your playoff hopes to one of your division rivals, not smart. I know we were playing the Redskins, but honestly, I don't really care. That means one of them was going to get burned. And if that's the case, why would we do anything to benefit one of them and not benefit ourselves? Why try to win the game? And I mean, they say they try to win a game. I don't believe it. But if we win, we get pick 9. If we lose, we get pick 6. That's only a 3-pick difference, but you're talking in the top 10. That puts us right outside of the top 5. That is the top elite premier talent in college football. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to pan out, but it gives us a better shot at getting somebody to help us down the road. And I mean, I don't necessarily think that one kid from this draft is going to be, defining whether or not we go to a Super Bowl or not. Really, honestly, I think the only position that really dictates that is the quarterback, which we don't have right now.
You don't even think Jalen Hurts could be a quarterback of the future for you guys?
I think he is. I don't know if he's necessarily ready to take over the reins right now.
All right.
But I think with some good coaching and, just relentless training, and if he hits the books, the playbook, and is watching game film constantly, I mean, he's got a shot. When you watch him play, a lot of the intangibles are there. The foundation to a good player is there, but he's a project.
Yeah.
I don't think he was drafted with the intention of thrusting him into the starting position in his rookie season. Now, he only took over at the end, but he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you guys didn't have the, idea to go ahead and start him in his rookie season after giving Carson Wentz the contract that he has.
Absolutely ridiculous contract.
I think anybody could tell you that the idea there would have been hoping that Carson Wentz would have given a little mentorship.
And you know what? Sorry, I feel the need to cut you off because as an Eagles fan, I already know there are going to be people listening to this that might be Eagles fans as well, thinking that I'm just a Wentz hater. I like Carson Wentz. I've liked him since we drafted him. I liked him through his rookie season up until now. But I have an issue. You can only be a great starting quarterback if you can stay on the field. Now, whether that has to do with him getting hurt or getting benched, I don't really care. We gave him a fat contract to be on the field, and that requires him to stay healthy and not put himself in situations where he's going to get hurt. Stop taking unnecessary hits. Don't put your head down. I mean, you could see throughout the years the coaching staff trying to get him to do certain things and him not following the game plan. The coaching staff trying to get him to be less aggressive and him diving into the end zone, which, I guess in the moment I was here for it, but finding out that he tore up his knee and we lost him for the rest of the season and then won the Super Bowl anyway with a backup quarterback. Like, he has had his job taken over and outperformed more than one time. No, I mean, okay, maybe outperformed is not the right word, but he's had somebody come into his position multiple times and find success.
Right.
So now are you going to tell me that our success is solely based on him or on coaching?
I mean, that's definitely the question that you guys got to work through.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing reports that he doesn't want out. Honestly, I hope we trade him. I hope Indy wants him. We can trade him to the AFC, and if he's great, good for him, man. But I don't think he's going to do it in Philly.
Yeah, his attitude this season is definitely he's basically just throwing a little fit on the sidelines. Him not even dressing up for the game.
That was wild. I don't know if that was his decision or somebody else's. I think it was his. I'm going to be honest. I don't have any definitive information to prove that. So
yeah. I do like Jason Kelsey's take whenever he was talking and was questioned about the benching this last week. He basically told everybody that going into the game, Doug Peterson already told people to, get ready for there to be multiple quarterbacks playing in the game. It's Sutton, the third string quarterback. He's Sudfeld. He's put in the work. He's put in the work. Kelsey said that.
I guess, bro, he looked terrible.
I mean, to each their own, At least it wasn't a Broncos situation. I mean,
okay, but the Broncos, that was a receiver, like a practice squad receiver. This is a dude that plays quarterback in the NFL. Did he? I don't know. I was shocked when he got out there, and it was that bad.
I mean, it wasn't pretty. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't pretty. But
fumbling a snap, he threw 2 picks. I don't know.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. But we'll see what happens with that situation going into the next season. I share the same opinion with you. I don't see Carson Wentz being on this team next season.
I don't think he needs to be at this point. I don't think he's a great leader, at least not in Philly. Maybe he can, recover his career somewhere else. But we got a lot to get into, so I want to go ahead and move forward.
Absolutely.
Let's hit Wild Card Weekend. We're going to start with the first game, which I believe is Saturday at 1:05. We got the Bills and the Colts with an over-under of 51, and the Bills by -6.5.
And obviously these are some fluctuating lines as the week will go on. These are the lines as of Thursday morning this week, 2 days before the game time. So implied results would be 29-22 in favor of the Bills. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I feel like we got a pretty open and shut case here. I'll tell you what I think each team kind of needs to do, I guess.
Sure.
Unless you want to start off for this one.
No, you go on.
So I think for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, if he shows up and has a big game like he has, a few of the past weeks, he's got 11 touchdowns. He's got 1,100 yards, 36 catches on 39 targets. He's catching most of the balls that are coming out of the backfield, and only 1 fumble in the season. So on the flip side of that, I need the Colts are going to need to generate some pressure, create some opportunities for the offense. They have a +10 turnover differential, which is, I believe, second in the league. But their secondary is going to need to step up to hang with Josh Allen. And then for the Bills, it's a Josh Allen show, man. If he comes to play, and especially if he plays a flawless game, Colts got no chance.
100%. Josh Allen coming off the best season of his career. He's averaged 69.2% passing over the entire season. This is his first year breaking 4,000 passing yards.
And 4,500 at that with 37 touchdowns, only 10 picks.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
He's averaging 311 yards a game. Dude, what did he start the season with multiple, was it 300 or 400 yard game? Dude, he was on fire.
Yeah, on fire to start the season, on fire to close the season.
He's got a rating of 107.2. That's great.
Plus his wheels on the guy. He's averaging over 4 yards a carry, and that's including times that he's been sacked.
Yeah, dude, he's a tank.
He's an absolute monster.
If they can minimize the turnovers, protect the football, defense holds on. If the defense, I feel like, can force one, even two, really one turnover, I think the game's set.
Right. I think what it's really going to come down to for the Bills is if you're going to have Stephon Diggs back. Didn't see Stephon Diggs at the end of the season there.
They're probably resting him.
Yeah, there was a little bit of rest there. It's really going to come down to him. The Colts defense has had an incredible year, but their main weakness was in their pass defense. They were 20th in the league in pass defense. They were giving up about 242 yards a game there. On the flip side, they were second in rush defense and 8th in total defense. So, from their linebacker core, the Colts have been absolutely incredible. They've been able to get pressure all the time.
Yeah, they've been one of the best defenses in the league this year. As good as it is, I just think the Bills' offense has been great. They've been fantastic, man.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs has been, an incredible year for him. 127 receptions for just over 1,500 yards.
And if you look at it, their defense, both teams' defenses are around the same when you look at their turnovers and their sacks. You got the Bills with 11 fumbles and 15 interceptions, 38 sacks. The Colts defense with 10 fumbles, 15 picks, and 40 sacks. I mean, it's close. The only not the only difference. One of the differences there is the Colts offense is turning the ball over way less. So, I mean, Colts got a shot here. I think this is the year of the Bills. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to go to the Super Bowl, but
no, I'm absolutely with you. There's only one team in the NFL that has had a better offense than the Bills this season.
And I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's...
Oh, that was Miami.
Come on now. As much as I love some Ryan Fitzmagic, man.
I do love Fitzpatrick. So,
God, what a guy.
Okay, so then who is your winner? What do you have the score as?
So, coming into this game, Bills are coming in on a 6-game win streak, including a win against the Steelers, right? And it wasn't necessarily...
kind of tapered off at the end.
They did. But still fantastic team. You know, the Bills have played against some great teams this season. And Indy, I mean, they're only 4-4 against teams with a even or over 500 record this season. Indy doesn't have enough. You know, I think Darius Leonard is going to have a fantastic game again. He's had a great season for Indy, but he's not going to be enough. And that defense is not going to be enough to stop Josh Allen.
All right, so what's your score at?
I'm putting the Bills at 31-17.
31-17, okay. I got Bills 28-23.
28-23, that's a much closer game. It's probably going to wind up like that, but I'm very confident into the Bills going into this game. Phillip Rivers versus Josh Allen, that's no contest.
I think Colts lose. I think Phillip Rivers is out next year, and I think they trade for Carson Wentz.
We'll see. That could be
Frank Reich is the head coach. He was a quarterback coach for Carson Wentz first couple years in the league. It just kind of seems like a matchup made in heaven, and boy, golly gee, do I hope it is, because I want that contract off my roster.
I completely understand that. All right. Going into the second matchup of the weekend, we've got the 6th seed Rams at the 3rd seeded Seahawks. Over-under for this game is at 42.5. with the line being at -4 for the Seahawks. Implied total of 23-19. So coming into this game, you've got Rams at 10-6 and Seahawks at 12-4. Seahawks quietly had a really good season despite a lot of the hate for their defense this season.
Defense was trash.
Yeah, defense was trash. It was one of the worst pass defenses I've ever seen. I mean,
everybody could throw on them, man.
Yeah,
except for the Eagles.
Except for the Eagles, yeah.
This is awful.
Russell Wilson having another borderline MVP season.
Real quick, I do want everybody listening to know that my co-host here is a Panthers fan. So all this hate that I'm putting on myself for the Eagles, just know that he feels it too for his team.
I would never say that.
I do love me some Teddy Two Gloves, bro.
Teddy Two Gloves, man. Like, what a guy.
All right, but hey, they're not in the playoffs. Let's see.
Why you gotta do my Panthers like that? I was trying to keep it swept under the rug for a little bit, man.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, man. Coming into this game, obviously these two teams come from the same division. They've played each other twice this year. Rams won their home game 23-16. Seahawks won their home game 20-9. Cam Akers, his ankle, he's still limited to practice this week, and obviously Goff is still questionable. Cooper Kupp is expected back in practice actually today.
Was it Matthew Berry? He calls him my little Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, it's Matthew Berry.
That's how I think of him every time.
Yeah,
my little Cooper Kupp.
Matthew Berry is a character for sure.
I do like his show.
He's a character. But Cooper Kupp from COVID was expected back today. Obviously, come practice time, we'll see how that happens. But if Cooper Kupp's back, I think this game becomes much more competitive.
It's all about Jared Goff for me in this game, man. If Jared Goff plays, Rams got a chance. If not, I mean, you're granted. Okay, so we have a one-game sample size for John Wolford.
Right.
22 of 38, 57.9%, 231 yards, and an interception. Not great, not terrible. I mean, he's over 50%. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he's 230 yards. That's not bad, but we're talking about winning a playoff game. I mean, you look at Jared Goff for the year, 67%. 3,952 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 picks. Needs to protect the ball a little better, but I mean, there's a stark difference there.
Yeah, and that 67% is the highest percentage of his career as well. He's had a fantastic quietly fantastic year. The Rams have,
they're averaging 377 yards a game.
Yeah, they're definitely up there. They're the 11th overall offense, 10th in rushing, and 13th in passing, but it's not translating to points on the board. They're only averaging 23 points a game.
I mean, and honestly, here's the key matchup for one, Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson will always and forever be the X factor as long as he's playing, unless he blows both his knees out and is no longer mobile.
Right.
4,200 yards on the year, 40 touchdowns, 13 picks, 68.8% completion rate, and a 105.1 rating. But he's not the defining factor in this game for me. The defining factor for me is Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams. Bobby Wagner, 138 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. Jamal Adams, 83 tackles, 14 tackles for loss. They're in that backfield. You got a running back by committee there, which, I mean, Akers is leading, but, I mean, even if he plays, then you got two guys, Henderson and Brown, they're probably going to be splitting it.
Right.
I mean, you don't have a defining running back. I mean, even with Akers, I mean, he's not a bona fide superstar. So you're going to put,
well, he's a rookie.
Right. But I mean, that's my point. He's not necessarily there yet. I think he will be. He looks good. I feel like he's the clear cut number one back in LA. I had to catch myself there from saying St. Louis. But when you're looking at somebody like Bobby Wagner, one of the best middle linebackers in the league at 138 tackles, I mean, the dude's quick too. He's going to track them out of the backfield. And then you got Jamal Adams up there in the box. It's another linebacker, essentially. 14 tackles for loss. I mean, dude, he's living in that backfield.
I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. I honestly, I don't think Seattle's defense is going to have too many issues if Goff is not playing.
If Goff's not playing, I mean,
if Goff's not playing, we're not having this conversation.
If Goff isn't playing, my score that I have down here is drastically different.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to say it's drastically different, but I would probably take another touchdown off the board for St. Louis.
Right. And
LA.
This is not don't hear this as us just bashing the Rams, because this is not necessarily a bad Rams team. They have had some solid players.
I mean, they're 10-6. They're decent. They're pretty good. They're better than a lot of other teams in the league.
And despite all of the fanfare for the Washington defense, the Bucks defense, the Colts defense throughout the season, the Rams have come through with the number one overall defense. They're only giving up 282 yards a game.
Aaron Donald.
And it's not even close. The closest to them, second place, is Washington with 305.
Aaron Donald. And I mean, we haven't even mentioned him because I don't think it's going to matter.
I mean, he's still going to get into that backfield.
Well, he's going to eat.
Him and Leonard Floyd are...
Yeah, they're going to eat, but I just don't think that it's going to make that big of a difference. There are too many other holes and variables in this game that I don't think that they can fix from the defensive line.
As a whole, over under 3.5 sacks for the Rams.
Over, dude.
Over? You think they'll get more you think they'll get 4 or more sacks?
You said 3.5?
3.5.
Huh. I think they'll get 3 under.
Okay. I agree with that.
Russ is just so elusive, man.
He's elusive. He gets out of sticky situations. Aaron Donald had 13.5 sacks this season, which is tied for second in the league. And Leonard Floyd had 10.5, which is 9th in the league. So they both had they're monsters,
Right.
But if their offense can't stay on the field, then there's not much you can say. Your defense isn't going to score as many touchdowns as your offense.
I mean, maybe they do, man. I don't know. Maybe they come out and absolutely kill it, but I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket.
All right. So who you got? Seahawks, Rams?
Oh, I got Seahawks 28-17.
Seahawks 28-17. I've got Seahawks 27-21. This is pretty cut and dry, guys. There's nothing too much more you can say. I do want to touch on, before we move on, what is going on with DK Metcalf? I mean, why were there 8 wide receivers taken before him in his draft?
I don't know, man. I took one look at that man, and I mean, you could just tell.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, watching what he's done this season. I mean, one from that interception by, who was it, Budda Baker, who he tracked 90 yards.
Oh my gosh.
Just like a gazelle, dude. Just long strides. And then the stiff arms. The taking these grown men and putting them on the ground like they're children.
I mean, he is just absolutely massive. He is physically larger than so many people that he's ever going to be lined up against.
Yeah,
he's
generational talent.
Hall of Famer?
Hall of Famer. I think so.
All right.
I mean, it's still early, but I mean, I think eventually that's what he's going to be looked at. I mean, he has a physical nature to himself that you don't see in most wide receivers. Like even Megatron, who was 6'5". I mean, obviously, I know DK is not 6'5", but he's close. He's what, 6'3"?
Yeah, DK is, I want to say 6'3", yeah.
I don't know, man. Being that tall and that big is impressive. I mean, I feel like I talk about it when I talk about the NBA. Like somebody like LeBron at 6'8", like his stature is impressive and difficult to maintain.
Metcalf is 6'4", 229.
Okay, so he's even taller than I thought. So he's right on. I mean, dude, Megatron couldn't even pack on that kind of. No.
I actually will not hear any sort of Megatron blasphemy.
Nobody's talking blasphemy about Megatron. I love Megatron. I mean, he's incredible, but he couldn't pack on the muscle like DK. He never looked like Metcalf.
Are you kidding me?
I'm like, you're gonna show me a picture where he looks like DK.
We can have this conversation later.
Go ahead, go ahead and search it, and I'll lead into the next one. Okay,
I'm bringing it up right now.
All right, so leading into the next matchup, while he's pulling this up, we have the Bucs at number 5 at Washington number 4. It's blasphemy that this home game is being played in Washington, but whatever. It's going to be at 8:15. The over/under is 45, and we have the Bucs by -8. So over a touchdown, they have the Bucs winning this game. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, man. Yeah. I mean, okay, so Washington has a good defense. I mean, they're letting up,
It's the only thing they have.
Yeah, and it's even, honestly, it's still not that great. They're letting up 304 yards a game, 191 pass yards, 112 rushing yards. So that's pretty decent. They have 47 sacks. That's good. But their turnover differential is -4. They're giving the ball up more than they're taking it back. This could be due to the constant quarterback carousel they've had down there. I mean, I think it's only been 2 or 3. I don't know. Yeah, it's been Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, and Dwayne Haskins, who has now been released.
Correct.
As I don't even want to talk about that. He's not on the team anymore.
19 months after he was taken in the first round.
Crazy.
19 months.
But so then looking at the Bucs, I mean, you got 30.8 points a game, 384 yards, 289 the pass yards, only 94 rushing. But I mean, dude, their receiving core is just absolutely nasty.
Oh, three-headed monster: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown.
Four-headed monster. Don't forget, what's it? Steve Miller.
Oh yeah, Steve Miller.
I mean, he may be their fourth option. I mean, not even fourth option. They got Gronk as well, dude. But that dude is fast.
Yeah, I would have liked to see how Tom Brady did with O.J. Howard too. Obviously, they missed O.J. Howard early on in the season, but having a tight end of his size along with Gronk on that field, I honestly think if O.J. Howard doesn't get injured, we don't see Antonio Brown on this team.
Yep, for sure.
Because a lot lot of those, shorter
I don't know. I mean, Brady wanted him before, so
he did. He did have him in New England for those 4 snaps. That was
beautiful 4 snaps.
It was a beautiful 4 snaps. They connected on a touchdown for it. Obviously, I like that Antonio Brown has not caused too much fanfare during his time here. He's clearly a Hall of Fame generational talent.
Do you think he'll get in now, though? After all
into the Hall of Fame?
All the stuff in the last couple of years, you think he'll get in?
There's players who have done worse to get in, yeah. So I don't see these issues for Antonio Brown being a problem. Honestly, I don't see too many people bringing it up and like his statistical conversations when we're talking about it 10 years down the road.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So for this game, for Washington, Alex Smith or bust. No Alex Smith, no game. The game's going to be about, Thomas Brady. That's it. It's all about Thomas. But then, I mean, on their defense, Devin White, 140 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and Levante David, 117 tackles, 14 tackles for loss. I mean, there are monsters in the middle of that defense. Washington's not going to be able to do anything. I got Bucs 30-10.
We're actually really close there. I got Bucs 31-10. Coming into this game, I mean, Bucs are averaging, on the season, their average margin of victory is, almost 9 points. On the flip side, Washington, who is the only team in the playoffs with a losing record, let's reiterate that they are 7-9. This is it, in very few situations is this ever a playoff team. They're only at a plus 0.3 margin.
Could you imagine if it was the Giants instead of the Washington football team, and then even though they don't have Eli Manning, they won? Do you know how upset Brady would be?
I don't think there's many things in this world that can make me happier than that. But yeah, there's not too much to say here, guys.
Yeah, I kind of just want to leave it. We'll leave this game where it's at. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. honestly kind of upset that it's the 8 o'clock game.
Yeah, this is not going to be a game.
I mean, I feel like...
Although, do you think there's potential for... I mean, the fact that we're talking so lowly about the Washington football team.
No.
You don't think there's any chance there could be a slip-up?
No, Colts-Bills should be the flexed into the primetime game at 8 o'clock. Bottom line.
I agree with that.
I think that's the best matchup we're going to have. I mean, you're looking at the Bucs-Washington. The Bucs are just so much more superior than Washington. Seahawks, Rams. Rams have a lot up in the air with Jared Goff. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, McVay's not going to come out probably until game day and say who their quarterback is going to be. So I would say that Colts-Bills are the best game from day one. Moving into Sunday, day two. Number one game. I am so excited for this game. I feel great about my pick for it. Ravens at Titans, 1 o'clock, over under 55, Ravens by 3. What are your thoughts?
This is going to be a great game. We're going to see...
Again, I don't know why it's the 1 o'clock game.
Right. We're going to see a battle of some just grit and grind rushing offenses here. You've got literally the top 2 rushing offenses in the league. The Ravens averaging 192 yards on the ground, and the Titans averaging 168 yards on the ground. It's going to come down to essentially the play of the offensive lines.
You think so?
Absolutely. I mean, the Titans defense is not what it was last year. They're averaging...
They did knock them out last year, though. They
did knock them out last year. This is clearly a revenge game for last year's playoffs. They also did play earlier in the season as well, with that matchup going 30-24 in overtime for the Titans. Ryan Tannehill in that game went 22 for 31 for 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. The man, the myth, the monster, Derrick Henry, went for 28 rushes. Let's reiterate. I don't think there's any other running back in this league, except for maybe Christian McCaffrey, that we could talk about averaging over 20 touches a game. Not even Ezekiel Elliott puts up those numbers.
Especially not this. I mean, not with, their head coach being Mike McCarthy. No way in hell, dude. Yeah, I mean, I would have to think about it, but I feel like a lot of teams are using like 2 backs at the moment.
Oh, yeah. The running back by committee is definitely the trend.
It's that or like the change of pace back, bringing somebody in that's different for, third downs.
Exactly. Even using our last team, the Washington football team, for reference. Yeah.
3 down backs in the league right now, I guess.
They're hard to find. And it's honestly smarter for teams to not have them. However, Derrick Henry is the exception to that rule.
Generational talent.
Oh my gosh. He went for over 2,000 rushing yards this year, people.
As and that's not being the fastest guy on the field. You just can't tackle the man.
Yeah, led the league in rushing yards, led the league in rushes. He had 378 rushes. Anybody who's getting over 300 touches, there's typically concern from
over
fans and coaches.
Dude.
Over 370 touches for 17 touchdowns on the ground, which is also first in the league.
I would put him in the MVP talk. He won't get it because nobody besides a quarterback will ever win MVP because of the way that the league is. Just the way the league is. It's a passing game now.
Correct.
But man, you got to at least mention the guy. What a season.
I don't think there's anybody else, even as a Panthers fan, Christian McCaffrey, I don't think there's anybody else that touches the just pure strength and talent that Derrick Henry has. He gets downhill so quickly. Ooh. It's wonderful to watch.
It is, man. So I want to get into some of the factors here. Lamar, he needs to pass the ball effectively. He's 64% this year, 2,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 picks, 99.3 rating, 1,000 rushing yards on top of that with 7 touchdowns. That's pretty amazing. You got Dobbins at 15 games, 134 attempts, 805 in yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 fumbles, none of them lost though. Then you got Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, both with 58 catches. Brown with 769 yards, 8 touchdowns, 48.1 yards a game. Mark Andrews, 701 yards, 7 touchdowns, 50.1 yards a game. You know what this tells me? This tells me all the Titans need to do, stop that run game. Marquise Brown is the leading receiver on that team with 769 yards.
Yeah, it should be indicative when you said his average yards per game. He's not even averaging 50 yards per game, and he's the leading receiver.
I mean, the tight end, Mark Andrews, 50.1 a game. So he's leading. Or he's not leading.
But that's in 14 games.
He broke 50.
Right.
So for the Ravens to win, They need to pass the ball effectively, and Patrick Queen needs to make it his mission to stop the man from having a big day. That man, Derrick Henry.
Oh, that bad man. Yeah, rookie round 1, pick number 28 out of LSU, led the Ravens in total tackles this year with 106. He's had a fantastic season. Ravens defense is...
What a task to take on Derrick Henry in your first playoff game, though.
I can't think of too many more intimidating things than that.
Because, I mean, you know, and let's look at this from the Titans side. Derrick Henry, he's going to force his yards. No doubt about it. Good luck. So if Tannehill protects the football, and I think if he passes down the field to Corey Davis, who had career highs and he tied his catches from 2018 with 65, but he had 20 less receptions. He had 20 less attempts, passes toward him. So he was more efficient this year. Career high at 984 yards. 5 touchdowns. He had his longest catch, 75 yards. So if the Titans defense will tighten up and force at least one turnover, which they lead the league with +6 in differentials, you know, they really have a chance here. The main thing I see being their issue, they have trouble putting pressure on the quarterback. Only 19 sacks this year.
And I don't even see that being the biggest issue for him this game. I see a lot of
I could
QB
see being an issue down
sets.
the road in the playoffs if they win this game, though.
Oh, I agree. I don't know if they're going to make it too much further after this game, but I do have the Titans in this one. I think Ryan Tannehill, both teams are going to sell out to stop the run. So if it's going to come down to Lamar Jackson throwing it versus Ryan
Tannehill all day.
I'm going Tannehill all day.
Score?
I've got Titans. I think it's going to be a close game, 27-24.
Kind of close. I got a Titans 28-20.
Okay, yeah. So both of us have Titans moving on here. So let's move on to the next matchup. We've got the 7th seed Bears at 8-8 against the 2nd seed Saints at 12-14. The line here is -10 for the Saints, and the over/under is 47. Yeah, this is the biggest favorite in the wild card weekend matchups, and it's for good reason. The Bears, with a truly abysmal offense, they're 26th in the league, only averaging 331.4 yards a game. Mitch Trubisky is clearly not the quarterback for Chicago. I don't think anybody's going to debate any of that.
I mean, I think he's better than Nick Foles. I think he gives him a better chance to win. Nick Foles is just, the dude can't move in the pocket.
I agree with that. I disagree that Mitch is better, but I feel like Mitch is better for the Bears. Well, I mean, they don't have a choice right now anyway, so.
Yeah, I just don't feel like Nick Foles is a starting quarterback. He's great in relief, but he's not a starter.
Coming from an Eagles fan, that's pretty rich.
Is it, though? I mean, if you look at him statistically, I mean, when he's had to play a full year, I mean, he's like middle of the pack. He's subpar. Like, I don't know, he's average. But when he comes in relief, the dude's a baller.
Yeah, he definitely has skipped around a few teams. He's not quite as much as like a Ryan Tannehill, but there's a reason that Nick Foles hasn't been a consistent starting quarterback in the NFL.
And there's a reason Ryan Tannehill has a starting job in the NFL.
Ryan Tannehill is a monster.
Exactly.
But yeah.
At least for the Titans, man. He's been playing so well the last few years.
Did I say Tannehill or Fitzpatrick?
You said Tannehill.
I said Tannehill?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Okay. No, you're fine.
All right, coming into this game, Bears, Allen Robinson, another, quietly incredible season, 6th in the league in receptions with 102, 9th in yards with 1,250. Only 6 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham leads that offense with 8 touchdown receptions. Big red zone target.
It wasn't for me in fantasy this year whenever I picked him up. Did you talk about Trubisky already in his stats?
Didn't touch too much on him, no.
So he's 67%. I mean, obviously not playing every game. 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 picks. Been sacked 18 times. 93.5 pass rating. I mean, he's not terrible, but really, I think the factor for the Bears offense is Montgomery. Here at the end of the year, he's really picked it up. I mean, 247 attempts rushing, a little over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Then he was 54 of 68 catching the ball out of the backfield for 438 yards, another 2 touchdowns. I mean, really, if the Bears linebackers can slow down Kamara, they may have a chance.
Yeah, keyword there. I don't even think we're talking about this if the Bears slip up in one of their games early on in the season when they went on that short unbeaten run 4-0. This team is not good. No matter what way you look at it or try to twist things, the Bears, I like this Bears team less than I like the Washington football team.
I mean, look, if the Saints can make Trubisky have to win the game with his arm, the Saints are going to win this game.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't see them having an issue there. Cameron Jordan and Demario Davis have been getting into the backfield all season. I mean, it combined 24 tackles for loss there, and I don't think that we're going to see anything different right now. Saints are 4th in the league in rushing defense, 5th in scoring defense. They're only giving up 21 points a game. The Bears' offense is not going to be enough to overcome it. Pretty cut and dry. Drew Brees is going to have an easy day. I think we're going to see a lot of Taysom Hill. I think that come second half, they're going to work him in. Maybe not as much at quarterback, but they're going to work Taysom Hill in a good bit more. His little stint of starting games in a row there has shown that the organization has confidence in him.
Definitely.
And he picked up some wins. So
he did, man. They had to change the entire offense. But, yeah. I mean, there's an offense out there that works for him. He really is an enigma, man. You never know what they're going to use him as or where they're going to put him, or it's,
Right.
The only reason I didn't mention him is because I just don't even know. I know he'll probably be a factor, but right. I don't know how to tell you how. He could catch it. He could throw it. He could run it. Hell, man, they could put him on defense if they really wanted to.
And this is not a bad Bears defense either. I mean, they're
the offense just isn't up to snuff.
Right, and the Bears defense is about middle in the road. They're not as good as we've seen the last couple seasons. Obviously, Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith are still going to have great games. Roquan Smith's second in the league with 98 solo tackles this season. They're not going to be enough.
What you got your score as?
Well, considering the first matchup was actually surprisingly close, that was 26-23 in overtime for the Saints. Granted, with Nick Foles at quarterback. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as close this time. I've got Saints 34-14.
I got Saints 28-17.
Yeah, I think that negative 10 line is, take that all day and run with it, guys.
Let's walk our way here into the most depressing matchup.
Oh gosh. 6th seed Browns at 3rd seed Steelers. Second week in a row of these two teams seeing each other. How do you feel about that?
Well, real quick, the over-under is 47.5. Steelers by 6. I was super in love with this matchup until I saw that the Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski, is not going to be able to coach on Sunday due to a positive COVID test, and I believe their special teams coach is going to fill in. I honestly, man, I want the Browns to win this game. I don't think that they will. Even with Stefanski there, I was kind of, but I want the Browns to be successful. I want them to win. You got Baker this year, 3,500 yards, 62.8% completions, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, and 95.9 rating. You have the two-headed monster of Chubb and Hunt. Chubb with 190 carries, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. Hunt 198 carries, 841 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then their defense, man, I mean, Myles Garrett is something else. I mean, 48 tackles, which isn't a whole lot, but he had 12 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. And then on his other side, you had Olivier Vernon, 36 tackles, 9 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. So, I mean, if the Browns can put pressure on Roethlisberger and stuff the run game, maybe.
Yeah, it's a stretch for...
The Steelers have a terrible run game this year. Absolutely awful. Connor is their leading rusher, 169 attempts, 721 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, worst rushing offense in the league. They're only averaging 84.4 yards on the ground a game. Not enough to get it done, but their defense has made it to where it's a non-issue. They've been able to slow the play down a bit. And I mean, that defense, 3rd in the league, only giving up 305 yards a game. And they're only giving up 19.5 points a game to Minkah Fitzpatrick, Vince Williams, TJ Watt, 15 sacks,
26 tackles for loss.
It's insane.
I made a comment earlier about who we were talking about. I said it was Jamal Adams living in the backfield. Bruh, he's the small room roommate to TJ Watt's, master bedroom in that apartment, man. He's living there.
I wish we put more weight into defensive players towards MVP conversations because, I mean, TJ Watt would be up there for me. I think
if you add in maybe 30 more tackles on the year, then it's more of a conversation. But only 53 from the linebacking position. I mean, we had linebackers hitting 119,
This is true.
149, or was it 149? I got somebody on here that has a ridiculous amount. But
he was playing on the edge a lot for the line, even though he is listed as a linebacker. So they schemed away from him.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, that's what happens when you're, like Revis for a long time, and his stats went down, but it wasn't because he did get worse eventually, but it wasn't because he was worse. Teams wouldn't throw his way.
Right. And even if teams do get past Williams and Watt, I mean, there's still Minka Fitzpatrick to deal with.
Yeah, dude's a beast.
I was a little bit of a hater for that trade last season when the Dolphins sent him that way for a first-round pick. I didn't understand why the Steelers were wanting to buy in as much. I knew Fitzpatrick was good, but I didn't understand why that much stock. This season, we're seeing why. It's 60 solo tackles, 11 passes deflected, 4 interceptions.
Absolute beast.
And a forced fumble. I mean, from the safety position, the dude has been eating all season.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's been great. And then, Chase Claypool, I mean, he had a great year. So, I mean, really, what's going to happen is the Steelers are going to need to win the game through the air. If the Browns can lock up any chance of a run game and force Roethlisberger to throw it, I mean, maybe, they have a pretty decent defense. It's not the best, but, who knows?
Roethlisberger coming into his 22nd career playoff game.
Wow.
2 Super Bowl rings and 3 trips to the Super Bowl. I mean, he didn't put up the yards necessarily this season, only with 3,800, but 33 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. I mean, one of the better seasons of his career.
Yeah.
He hasn't had to do much. This is not really going to be a game. Last week when the Browns did beat the Steelers, and that total was 24-22 with the Browns at home. There was no Ben Roethlisberger. You could tell the Steelers were just kind of coasting most of that game. And even in the first one, it was a blowout for the Steelers. Steelers at home won 38-7. Both games have been incredibly defensive matchups. In that first matchup, I mean, the Steelers, even though they put up 38 points, they only had 277 total yards.
Right.
They don't necessarily have to move the ball a lot if they're just forcing the Browns 3 and outs and making them punt, which I feel is going to be the case. Steelers are going to force the issue, get the field position.
A lot of 3 and outs.
A lot of 3 and outs. I do want to give a shout out to Rashard Higgins. Quietly had one of the better seasons of his career. This is his 5th season in the NFL, and he's 37 for 599 and 4 touchdowns. Jarvis Landry was 72 for 840 on the season. His volume definitely increased once Odell went out. I don't think Odell is on this Brown team next year.
No, probably not.
No,
I think Odell's going to have trouble finding a team that really wants him. I mean, he's had a lot of really great plays. He's had some good seasons, but I mean, I don't know. It's just he's not what everybody thought he might be.
Yeah, he's definitely not. It's not been the same.
And just injuries and it's just kind of derailed him.
And as 2 guys who we were still pretty young whenever his rookie season happened. I mean, the catches he was making, the fanfare that he was producing, it's a little disappointing now to see how that's panning out.
What do you got to score as?
Steelers 31-7.
Oh, wow.
I think this is a blowout.
I got a Steelers 27-13.
Yeah.
A little bit closer, but still.
Browns are the only team.
2 touchdown game.
Yeah. Browns are the only team coming into the playoffs with a negative margin on the season. Even the Washington football team with a losing record has a better average margin than the Browns do, and the Browns are 11-5. That's a lot of close games, and this one is not going to be that.
I just want to kind of end the show here with a fun fact that we came across. If the Chiefs win their divisional game, they'll be the first AFC team to host 3 straight AFC championship games. The only team in the NFC to do that was the 2002 to 2004 Eagles. Both teams coached by Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid is a magician for sure. All right, well, everybody, thank you for listening with us today. We're very excited to get this ball on the road.
We'll be back with another episode either at the beginning of the week or toward the end of the week. We have been discussing doing 2 episodes a week, potentially a review for the weekend, and then another one for a preview. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, for a preview of the next weekend.
If you guys have any suggestions or anything that you'd like us to touch on, feel free to leave any comments for us or shoot us over any recommendations, and we'll be more than happy to.
You can find us at Glass Table Sports on Twitter, GLASSTBLSPORTS. table is abbreviated. So that's Glass Table Sports. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.